So I have a wonderful domestic life
Mm.
and I'm fully available to my family. And maybe my boyfriend envies that sometimes, but my husband envies the adventure and spontaneity that I have with my boyfriend.
Hold up. Did she just say what I think I heard her said? Did you hear that? Her husband envies her boyfriend? Her husband envies her boyfriend? I wonder why is it because this guy gets to sleep with his wife without paying the bills, parenting their daughter, or fixing the leaky faucet. Oh, he just get the fun part. And she says her husband envies her boyfriend. Does those two words go together? Or do those two words go together, husband and boyfriend? And speaking about it in such a way as if, ah, just another day in sunshine wherever you are, or sunny wherever you are. Just another conversation. Are you serious? I mean, I have to, I had to take a double take. I don't know about you, but when you hear that, I mean, folks, this is what happens when marriage gets twisted into a free for all adventure. I want you to stick around because what you're about to hear will flip everything you thought you knew about commitment upside down. And you know, I may chuckle, but it's serious. I mean, it's something that I find disturbing, and you're gonna see why I say that because she's proud of having a husband and a boyfriend, calling it polyamory, right? The new term, right? She's proud of having a husband and a boyfriend, calling it polyamory, like it's a cute lifestyle choice, even the choice of word, right? That they've now used to describe this kind of behavior. But let's call it what it is, right? A fancy label for lustful desires that shred God's sacred design for marriage. Our cultures cheering this on, slapping new names on old sins to make them sound liberating. But at what cost? At what cost? This is adultery. We got to call it what it is. There's no other way to cut it. It's simply adultery. Come on, huh? I mean, would you? I mean, would you disagree with me? I don't care what culture have now said, but because they have tried to redefine and look at marriage away from the designer himself, at what cost are we experiencing this refurbishing, remodeling, you remake of, right? Psalm 11 verse 3 says, when the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do? What do we do when we see this kind of behavior around us? Right now, I'm wondering, how does her husband really feel about this? How does he? Let's dig into that next. Before I do that, let me just say, if this is your first time on this channel, yeah, we talk about raw things like this. And I'm Kingsley Grant, a licensed marriage and family therapist, a certified relationship coach, and host of the Build Your Happier Marriage podcast. I've been married for 40 years, right? Since 1985. And for over 20 years, I've helped Christian wives and other wives, but mainly Christian wives like you reconnect with your entrepreneurial husband so you can feel loved, valued, and secure again. And if you're tired of feeling like you're the only one fighting for your marriage, maybe because he's always working or seems emotionally distant, this channels your lifeline. And if you have not yet subscribed and you've been here for a while, lurking around, watching, why don't you go ahead and subscribe right now? Now would be a good time to do so. And if you like what you're hearing, hit that thumbs up button even right now. These stories wake up call. It's a wake up call, right? Showing what happens when we ditch God's blueprint for marriage. So let's get back to what we've started to watch here. So here's what I believe with every ounce of my soul, every ounce, every fiber within me, that embracing the mind of Christ is the fastest and most impactful way to build a joyful, lasting marriage. And you're going to see why. What we're going to watch here, that maybe she thinks it's about having a joyful marriage. Well, I'm going to let you decide as you watch this, right? It's not about chasing fantasies. It's not redefining commitment to suit our desires, but following God's design as he intended when he created marriage. In Genesis 2:24, it says, "A man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." That's what God says, right? This story is a glaring example of what happens when we ignore that truth. So, how did we get here? How did she get to this point? Well, let's let her tell you in how she justifies this lifestyle. Let's watch and see what she had to say about that.
I come from the Philippines. It's a very conservative culture. Fun fact, one of the last two countries in the world where divorce is illegal.
So you cannot get to, is that because of religion?
Yes,
Right.
absolutely. The other nation, by the way, is Vatican City, population 865.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people getting married
Quite a
there.
lot of priests there as well.
Yeah, so it was really conservative. And, I just always felt I was at odds with the way people saw relationships and pleasure and desire. And then I moved to Amsterdam, which was the real hinge point because it's a very liberal city.
Hmm. This wasn't how was brought up, right? So you can see it's a spirit of rebellion is at work here, right? She's rebelling against the very thing she was brought up with. It's her way of liberation and listening to all that nonsense that truly destroys the soul and a relationship, right? She swapped a culture of commitment for one of exploration. And that's where the trouble started. Curiosity, right? She became curious. It led to multiple affairs, and she finally settled on her boyfriend. And instead of repentance, she doubled down. See, culture might call that freedom, but I call it, and I hope you would agree with me, I call it confusion with a side of heartbreak. It may not be evident right now, but it will be. Her husband wasn't on board at first. He wasn't on board. And let's hear what she said, why he wasn't on board at first. Let's take a look and listen to what she said.
Decent people don't do these things. Married people don't do these things. But I've always seen marriage as an adventure, as a team undertaking. And I said, I want to go on these adventures with you.
Yeah.
Is there some way we can do that together?
Right.
Wives, as a wife, can I just say, please listen up for a second here? Just because your husband goes along with something doesn't mean his heart is okay with it. As in this case, this husband went along, but it doesn't mean his heart's okay with it, because out of the heart, the mouth speaks. So what came out at first was what in his heart. And he probably is searing his own conscience to go along with this nonsense. See, that initial no reveals a truth many wives, or let me say some wives, miss. Your husband's wiring for honor, for respect, and exclusivity. That is how he's wired. And anything that comes against that, even though there are times where some husbands may go along with this kind of idea and so on, but there's something missing about that, right? One of the things I have done in my work, in my professional work for almost 2 decades, is recognized some of these behaviors and these traits. And after having worked with so many wives like you, possibly like you, heard their stories and see their struggles. And one of the things I find is that many of the wives may not fully understand their husband. And so I decided to write a book called The Seven Connection Skills. Sorry, The Joyful Wife, Seven Connection Skills to Better Understand Your Husband, Rekindle Love, and Deepen Intimacy. I wrote it because I want wives to help to understand better and help her decode his heart like this woman needs to do, and decode his heart and communicate in ways that rebuild trust, not tear it down. That's what I wrote this book. It's available on Amazon. If you haven't gotten it yet, I want to encourage you to go ahead and get yours today. Yes, get it today. Um, because I think there is something here about when you begin to redefine marriage, begin to um, go against what initially God intended, and God still intends that to be the case. You cannot do that without paying a price. It's an erosion over time, right? So, um, look at what she even said about how she had to push against and almost sear her conscience. She had to push and stifle the voice in her own heart to get where she is. Because it's interesting that she would even say what she did. So let's hear what she admitted about the damage. Let's watch.
Guilt in that scenario when you know that you're sort of, traditionally within the relationship, you aren't supposed to go and have extramarital affairs, and you were. How did you manage that part of it?
Well, I remember feeling kind of guilty and ashamed about how I was and all of these things that I was curious about. I wondered, am I too much? But then part of what I learned is I can ask for what I believe I deserve. You don't have to hide it. You can be upfront and honest with the person you love and trust that they'll accept you.
I felt guilty. See, there it is. She felt guilty, convicted about what she was doing, ashamed. But notice what she says. But I learned, right? I learned. So she had to stifle this over and over and over again until she quieted that voice within her and learned that she could ask for what she believed she deserved. Really? What she deserves? What about her relationship, her marriage, her husband, her daughter? It's I, right? It's what I deserve. Interesting. So again, why did you get married if this is what you deserved? See, guilt and shame were God's warning lights, but instead of fixing the engine, she changed the dashboard, calling it polyamory. It doesn't make it holy. It's lipstick. It's lipstick on a pig. That's what it is, right? Hebrews 13 verse 4 says, let's call it what it is and not shy around. Hebrews 13 verse 4 says, marriage should be honored by all and the marriage bed kept pure. This is not what she's doing. This is not how she was even brought up. When you rewrite God's rules, you're not building a marriage. You are burning it down. Proverbs 14 verse 1 talks about the wise woman. The wise woman, she builds her home, but the foolish woman, she tears it down with her own hands. This is what this woman is doing. She's burning the whole thing down. And her daughter, she's watching this. Her 12-year-old daughter is watching this, learning from her mom that commitment's optional. That's not freedom. That's a legacy of fracture. She doesn't understand that that daughter is learning more about what she sees than what she hears, right? So, I think I've heard many times that kids, right, they learn more from what they see us do than what they hear us say. And to see what the mom, how she framed it as having fun. Wow, fun. Where is the love? Where is the commitment? Let me want to kind of calm down here because what I want to also recognize that this woman she's lost. It may sound judgmental, but she's lost. She's lost her way. And I'm not here to judge her. That's not the point. I'm here to warn you. Culture, culture is selling these made up labels like polyamory as the answer to loneliness or a stale marriage. But slapping a name on sin doesn't make it satisfying. Proverbs 29, verse 18 says, when people do not accept divine guidance, they run wild. But whoever obeys the law, watch this, well, whoever obeys the law is joyful. Joyful wife, joyful marriage. God's design for marriage, one man, one woman, one flesh. It isn't broken. It still stands. I don't care what anybody else says, it still stands. And there is a price to pay. She may call it fun. She may write a book and making a profit from this behavior, this lifestyle. But it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. Our obedience is if you're feeling disconnected, don't chase a fantasy outside your vows. Let's rebuild what's real with the mind of Christ. Get the help you need. Seek outside counsel. Get a therapist, a coach, a mentor, somebody who can speak into your life. Don't begin to chase these things because there's a price to pay. It may not seem that way right now, but as you know, if you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about, right? So here's the thing. Her 12-year-old daughter is caught in the middle of all of this. Let's watch how mom, I wanted to say something else, but I'm not. Let's watch how mom is addressing this issue when it comes to her daughter. That's what she had to say. And let me hear what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear your comments below because this is just blowing me away the more I think about this and I go through this right now. Let's watch what she had to say about her 12-year-old daughter as she watched mom.
So she must have some idea of certain things, but obviously not others. How do you handle that? And what conversations do you have with her?
Well, she's always known, for example, that I sleep over at Robert's house once a week. And she had a working knowledge of sleepovers from the time she was about 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So she understands a sleepover is something fun that we do. And when I left for Robert's, she would say, well, have fun. And I would say, well, I will.
Yeah.
And the next morning when I came home, she'd be like, did you have a great time? And I would say, yes, I did. But like any other parent, the details of my intimate life are not for children.
Yes.
So nonchalant, so casual, so, cavalier, just like, what? Nothing. Am I missing something here? This mother is just speaking about it as if like she's having some food or changing her clothes or just so cavalier and nothing. She said her daughter understands what it means to sleep over and she's having fun. Oh, really? Twice a week without dad, not in your own bed. Huh? Does she think that daughter is stupid? Does she think her daughter is not going to figure out this whole thing? Does she not think her daughter is going to have someone know about mom and get the word to her? And what will that daughter feel? Y'all, that's not fun. That's a 12-year-old learning love is disposable. Dear wife, you have the power to model God's truth for your kids and your husband. You do. And that's why I created the Joyful Marriage Quest. It's a evidence-based and biblical-based coaching journey that covers a multitude of these things and try to help you as a wife better communicate and understand your husband and connect with him and have these kind of hard conversations that need to be had, right? Because as your husband might be so busy doing all the different things he is doing, and you're feeling so, left out and not seen or heard, you want to connect. So this Joyful Marriage Quest is a 6-week evidence-based and, like I mentioned, biblically based coaching journey that I would want to encourage you to be a part of that, where you're going to learn how to communicate with clarity and rekindle intimacy without compromising your faith. And if you're interested in that, I want you to join the wait list, because I'm going to have a webinar, and I want you to be on the wait list for when I do get that out, so I can send it to you. And you can go to buildyourhappiermarriage.com, buildyourhappiermarriage.com/waitlist, right? And get on that, because a joyful marriage isn't built on lust or loopholes, right? It's built on God's unshakable truth. So if you're ready to stop feeling like you're the only one fighting for your marriage, I've got your back. I've got your back. And so, number one, subscribe, and then join the wait list for this upcoming webinar that I'll be doing. The webinar is entitled "How to Reconnect with Your Husband Without Feeling Like You're the Only One Trying." So you go to buildyourhappiermarriage.com/waitlist, right? We got to throw rocks at this culture, at the societal lies that are all around us. And we have to build marriage that glorifies God and is healthy and, can last for a long time. Because it's not what is going to help our society. And I'm sure you know that, right? So I want you to encourage you. Don't be like this wife. And I know I'm speaking to someone. I don't think you are the person who's going to do that. No, I don't think so. I truly believe that you're not that person. But I want this to be a warning, because it's something that is so subtle. And culture, unfortunately, is just throwing labels around and making things, the Bible says there's a time is coming where people are going to call good, call evil good, and then call good evil. A time would come, and we are in that time right now. I'm sure you're hearing and seeing that. We've got to change that. We gotta push back, because this woman, she doesn't understand the generational damage she's doing to her kid, her daughter, and what she's doing to her husband. I don't know if this marriage is going to make it. Yes, it's been for 12 years. That's wonderful. It's wonderful, but well, I can't say it's wonderful, because 5 of those years is with her boyfriend. Come on, that's sick. Well, let me stop right there. Again, get on the wait list at buildyourhappiermarriage.com/waitlist. Let's throw rocks at the culture. And if you want to have a conversation, please make sure you comment. Let me hear your thoughts. I would love to get in this conversation with you and see what your thoughts are about this whole thing. Let's have a civil discourse, right? Not to hammer weight at anybody, but let's have a discourse. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you want to get in touch with me, send me a direct message at Kingsley Grant on any other platforms, Instagram or Facebook. But I would say Instagram primarily, and I'm ready. So let's get to work. Again, like, comment, and hit the bell and subscribe if you have not yet done so, for more marriage building truth. And all the links that you hear in this full video will be in the description below, and as well as the book. You'll find the link to the book on Amazon in the description below as well. So my friend, may God bless you, and thank you for being here. May he keep you and make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May you know his peace, his love, his joy, and his power. And may you get more of the things you're hoping for in your marriage. And one of those ways is to watch this video right here, because it will help you even get more information that I've shared in this video. So God bless you as you do, and I'll see you on the next video. God bless, and peace out.